What do evil residents and Dark Souls have in common? A great man once asked. Me. In my opinion, video games don't really need a story. They just need to be fun. Now, obviously, both Resident Evil and Dark Souls have a story, but they don't shove it down your throat. The story is there if you want it. Now, I've been playing Resident Evil since I could hold a controller. It is my favorite series of all time, and I have a hard time getting into a lot of modern games. But I do love the Souls games. They are great, fun games. But what do these games have in common? I mean, the gameplay is completely different. With Resident Evil, you have a limited camera view, limited inventory, limited ammo resources, and the gameplay is small. That's the only way I know how to describe it. Meaning, like, you shoot zombies and you solve simple puzzles. Not much to it. Now, of course, Resident Evil likes to get bombastic at times, but gameplay-wise, it usually stays pretty simple. I mean, sometimes it does get pretty crazy. You do punch a boulder, but nothing. It's generally all the same. And the story is obviously there, but again, it doesn't shove the story down your throat. In every Resident Evil game, from old to new, you can find documents scattered throughout the world, which fills out the story and background information. Also, they sometimes give hints or solutions to puzzles, which I would always just skim through them to find the info I needed. I never really much cared for reading the documents. Sometimes I would, but I really didn't care. The Resident Evil games simply give you the background info you need, like the intro. They kind of like, here you go, have fun, and they just drop you in the world, sometimes with a bang. Literally, like Resident Evil 3, the original one, right after the short intro, first thing that happens is an explosion. And then it's like, have fun. But anyways, a deep, heavy story isn't really needed. The story is usually just cheesy action movie nonsense, but that's part of what makes it so great, is that it's just cheesy nonsense. And Resident Evil knows that it's cheesy nonsense. And that's what the fans love. It's just the cheesy nonsense. It's there, but it's not, like, the cheese isn't too strong. And that's part of what makes it beautiful. I mean, look at 4. Great gameplay, and it knows very well that it's just cheesy nonsense. Cheesy action movie nonsense. Now, Resident Evil 4 is when the gameplay shifted to be a bit more complicated than the originals, but it's still pretty simple, and it's super fun, and it doesn't hold your hand all the way through. A perfect example to the opposite of that, story-wise anyway, is Monster Hunter World. Now, if you like that game, that's fine, but as it turns out, it's not for me. Now, a few years ago, this was a few years ago, so I'm kind of going off of the memory of that. I gave Monster Hunter World a try, and after a play session of about 3 hours, I only had like 30 minutes of gameplay. Like, there's all the intros and the cutscenes and cinematics and all of that nonsense. I literally got 30 minutes of gameplay, and it was just mediocre nonsense. It was just mediocre. Like, they literally could have just made a movie, or series of movies, or a TV show. Like, I had to literally just had to watch a movie to get mediocre gameplay. And again, if you like that game, that's fine. It's just not for me. I play a game to play a game, and have fun. If the game isn't fun, I'm not playing it. I don't care how good the story is. Now, if you have a fun game and a good story, well, that's a bonus. But gameplay should always come first, not second. The first Last of Us is a good example of this. It's great gameplay and a great story to boot. I've never played the second one, so I can't really say anything on it, because again, I haven't played it. But what about the Souls games? The camera view is usually pretty free. You have basically unlimited weapon and resource storage, and the gameplay is tough, and it varies widely. Are you like me and enjoy a great sword and shield? Are you a magic user? Do you play a bunch of builds? Are you PvPer? List goes on. And with Resident Evil, you kind of only get one way to go. Now, obviously, everyone plays a little differently, but generally, everyone's gameplay is going to look pretty similar. Like, if you watch a video, it's all going to look about the same. With Souls games, you get jumped ahead of myself. Souls, obviously, everyone's going to look a little, like, it's so many different ways to play a Souls game. But also with Souls games, you get, of course, item descriptions. Do you want to know what's going on, or at least a hint of what's going on? You read descriptions. They're like documents. But to start to just play, the Souls games just gives you the basic information you need, and simply drop you in the world until you have fun. Now, of course, the Souls storylines are always super deep, and, to really know what's going on, you watch a video, and super deep storyline. Everyone knows this. But you don't need to know the whole story. It's there if you want it, but it's not required. So how are these two completely different games, or series, I guess, so similar? Is it Series I? Series is? I don't know. But why are they so similar? It's their approach and respect for the player. They don't waste the player's time with a 3-hour intro just to play the game. They both just drop you in and say, have fun. And both offer story bits if you want it through either documents or item descriptions. Both make gameplay first, story second. Which should always be the case. You play a game to have fun and to play a game. If you want a movie, watch a movie. Story should always be second. Whenever I play Resident Evil or Souls games, I know that I'm playing a fun game that is not going to shove story down my throat. Except 6. 6 is garbage. 6 is just the worst game ever. Anyways, but I'm not required to watch 3 hours of intro cutscenes. Please stop doing that. I hate, that is just awful. Just make a movie. Now, if you want a game with heavy story, and great gameplay, look at Silent Hill 2. It's great gameplay and great story. I know that a lot of people now complain about the controls of classic Resident Evil and Silent Hill, but they're really simple controls. Forward is always forward. Tank controls really aren't that hard. It takes 2 seconds to figure out. Forward on the directional pad is always forward. Very simple. They're just very different from modern controls is all. But everyone who gives Silent Hill 2 a try falls in love with it. It's, again, a perfect example of how you marry a great game and a great story. Gameplay is first. Story second. That's why I love games that realize that they are a game and not a movie. They say, hey, you're a special operative and you have to kill zombies and monsters. Here's your gun. Have fun. Figure it out. And that's it. They don't hold your hand all the way through it. They don't play themselves. You don't need to watch a movie to play. So many modern games hold your hands. They basically play themselves. One of my biggest pet peeves with any game, which I could probably make an entire video on it, are those sticky automatic stealth mechanics. When you play a game of stealth and you hide behind something, or it's a half wall or whatever. To hide, you have to press a button, and then you're just stuck to the wall or cover or whatever it is. And you can't leave until you press some weird button sequence just to leave the stupid wall. That is infuriating. If you're going to have stealth or any generic mechanic, let the player play. It is so simple to just let the player crouch. That's it. Just crouch. That's all you need. There's no need to get stuck to a wall. But anyways, my point is that Resident Evil and Souls, they don't do that. You, the player, are in control of playing. For example, in Resident Evil, you can juke zombies. It's not some built-in sticky mechanic where you have to press a sequence of buttons to do something so simple as to juke a zombie. You just figure out how to do it, and you do it. That's it. Same with Souls. You just figure out how to do things without there being any sticky mechanics. You just do it. Well, anyways, thanks for listening to my opinion on the matter. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. And if you disagree, you're wrong. Watch a movie. Goodbye and God bless.